Hey guys, Chester Westerford here. So, back when the initial first look teasers came out for the Munsters and Wednesday Addams reboots appearing on Netflix this fall, I did a video reacting to them and gushing about how I was excited for both of these shows. Well, now we've had proper trailers for both properties and, well, I'm still excited, but maybe more for one and maybe just slightly interested in how the other turns out. I know I'm a bit late for these, especially the Munsters, as that came out several weeks ago, but after seeing that Munsters trailer, well, I was in no hurry to make the video as, well, I just wasn't sure what to say. My mother having always taught me if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Okay, that's a bit mean, but you get my drift. When it first came out on YouTube, I clicked with great excitement, only to have it turn into disappointment very quickly when the poorly edited audio and oddly filmed visuals with that soap opera-esque frame rate made it look like not a big budget Universal picture, but an at least decently made student fan film. And so I decided to wait so I could figure out exactly what it was that seemed off. And then the Wednesday trailer came out, and it was exactly what I would have expected from a big budget Tim Burton project for Netflix. It was shot cinematically, edited great, and got me excited for the series. As it should. And so it appears that once again, the Munsters reboot will be overshadowed by a superior and highly successful Addams reboot. And that got me thinking, why is that? Why does that keep happening? And so, instead of doing breakdowns or reactions of the two trailers, many other channels have done that already, I thought it would be more interesting to talk about why it keeps happening. Why do the Munsters always seem to fail while the Addams family just keeps succeeding over and over again? Is one group of characters just subjectively better than the other one? I don't think so. As a matter of fact, growing up, of the original series, I always preferred the Munsters over the Addams family. I think it was a better show, personally. Is it that the Addams family keeps getting rebooted by better filmmakers? Well, no, I don't believe that's quite it either. I think it's deeper than that. I think the problem begins with a misunderstanding of the characters. To see what I mean, let's look at who these two families are, meaning their origins. The Addams family started life as a series of one-panel comics penned by Charles Addams for the New Yorker magazine beginning in 1938. They were a somewhat odd-looking family whose tastes veered towards the bizarre and macabre. They rose in popularity when the strip was adapted into a TV series which ran for 2 seasons from 1964 to 1966. I won't go into detail about the characters since if you're watching this video, you probably already know who they are. The Munsters original series ran for the same amount of time and in the same years as the Addams family, and was produced by the creators of another classic TV series, Leave It to Beaver. Both shows were designed to parody some form of the ideal American family, but while the Addams were wealthy, the Munsters were distinctly working class. A parody not just of real-life families, but of the wholesome ideal TV families of the era, such as depicted in the aforementioned Leave It to Beaver. I think this is a key difference between the two properties. The Addams are unusual not just in their macabre tastes, but in their wealth, which places them even further on a classier plane than the average Joe. In contrast, the Munsters were always facing financial problems, just like us. And Herman went to work every day to a blue-collar job at the funeral parlor, just like us. Except for most of us, it's not a funeral parlor. And so, while they were definitely satirizing all those things, they never felt like just caricatures. They still felt like real people, and that's how the actors played them. Even though the characters were humorous, they took themselves seriously. They truly believed that they were the typical average American family. It was this juxtaposition from whence comes the humor. I feel like future adaptations get one or more aspect of this balance wrong. Some, like the Munsters today, turned up the zaniness a little too much so that they do feel more like caricatures than real people, while others, like Mockingbird Lane, took it in a completely different direction. The Munster family here know they're different, and are not monsters who believe they are normal. They are monsters who want other people to think they're normal. Of course, that show also took away the comedy and tried to basically turn it into a horror-themed soap opera. Honestly, if that's what they wanted, they should have just rebooted Dark Shadows. That would have made much more sense. This realness to the characters, though, creates another difficulty. The problem with having characters who are identifiable as the Munsters is that for that to happen, the actor needs to put quite a bit of themselves into that character. This inevitably links that specific performance to the character in a way that cannot be copied by someone who is not that person. Now, I think that some actors have come very close to being great tributes to the original actors, but between the writing being too zany and the fact that they just aren't that person, they often end up feeling like an actor playing another actor, rather than an actor playing a character. One of the reasons the Addams Family reboots have worked is that they don't have these problems. Unlike the Munsters, they are caricatures. While I'm not saying there aren't some people who can't identify with a certain aspect of a character in some way, shape, or form, it's not in the same way. While we do go to 9-to-5 jobs like Herman Munster, or to school every day like Eddie, you're not going to find an average Joe who plays with dynamite and lights up light bulbs in their mouth like Uncle Fester. I mean, you might somewhere, but it's not normal. The characters being more out there and unusual means their characters are more open to interpretation by other actors. The Sonnenfeld films, for instance, do an excellent job of paying tribute to the original show and comics while doing something new. Raul Julia's Gomez takes a few things from John Astin, but he is also a very different character. Astin plays it like Groucho Marx, making wisecracks in between puffs of his cigar. Julia plays it more like a Spanish gentleman, his cigar becoming more a prop to add to the classiness of his character rather than the craziness. Lisa Loring's Wednesday was an innocent child who played with bizarre toys, while Christina Ricci added that touch of macabre menace and sarcastic attitude which has been copied ever since. Despite the characters being so different, they don't feel wrong, because they were so much more exotic to begin with, and the directors let the actors do their own thing. As a result, they feel more natural, and not like an actor trying to play another actor's character. But all of this begs the question, if the actors and characters are so connected, is a proper reboot of the Munsters even possible? Well, I believe it could be, if we rethink what a Munsters reboot should be. If effort wasn't put so much in trying to be exactly like the original, I think maybe it could work. I mean, another reason it doesn't work is that the Munsters were a parody of American families in the 60s. What would happen if the characters were retooled to be parodies of a family we could see more existing in the modern day? Honestly, I'm not sure if it would work or not, but I think it could be worth a try. And here is the one place I do have to give Mockingbird Lane a little bit of credit. As much as I despise that attempt, they did have the right idea of trying to update it to match the storytelling and cinematography of when it was made. It just went completely off track and took it way too far. Perhaps if it had been done as a proper comedy and not a horror dramedy, maybe it could have worked. And if it had done the character designs properly as well. But all that brings me to one final point. If they ever do decide to update it, they should not try to connect it with the original series. That is another problem the Addams Family has been able to avoid. Every time the Addams Family reboots itself, it's a different continuity and works to reintroduce the audience to the characters and setting. Every time the Munsters reboots itself, it acts as if the audience should already know who everyone is and go, hey, that's that old show that used to be on. With the Addams, it's, hey, come meet the Addams Family. With the Munsters, it's, hey, the Munsters are back. But the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of people, especially of a younger generation, who have no idea who the Munsters are, or possibly have only seen some of the reboots and think they're a cheap attempt to copy the Addams Family. They're really not, though. The Addams Family, however, does have a lot of fans who have never seen the original series. They grew up with the 90s movies, or even some kids growing up with the animated films of today. So I don't know, those are just my thoughts. What do you think of my points? Do you agree? Disagree? Do you think a Munsters reboot could work if done right? What did you think of the trailers for both of these shows? How do you think a Munsters reboot would work? Of course, who knows? This could all be based on a false presumption and the Munsters film could turn out to be really good. I hope it is, honestly. But, like I said, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll talk to you next time.